So hi, I'm Stefan from mywoodcutters.com, and today we would like to introduce a new product for our fellow woodworkers. And before I start, I would like to share a little bit of my personal history, as I'm sure many of our woodworking friends can relate to it in one way or another. Before I started mywoodcutters.com in 2013, I had my own cabinet shop, and where I would build cabinets, and I had my dedicated spray booth where I would finish the wood in there. Um, and I could walk in there and spray my polyurethane lacquer. That's all I ever used. And um, while it cures, get back into my shop and continue making sawdust without contaminating the wood. And also the room was sealed well enough, so the fumes from the lacquer didn't bother us in the work area at all. However, now I have my little hobby shop in the size of a one-car garage, and that is now a completely different story. And I have continuously problems with finishing my wood products, and so for starters, I have to clean up the whole shop before I can spray any lacquer, and then the fumes actually contaminate the whole house. Um, and so it wasn't bearable anymore. So I kept searching for alternatives and found a few products that kind of interested me, but in the end didn't really satisfy me. And then in the end, I stumbled over a company called Clean Armor, and that changed everything for me. I started using their products, and it blew me right out of my chair. And so I just kind of thought we have to offer this to our customers as well, because this is such an awesome product. And then I had just some setback thinking, well, as the name My Woodcutters implies, all we wanted to ever offer is cutting tools for wood. And this doesn't really fit into this category. But as a German saying goes, the exception confirms the rule. We decided to make that exception and introduce this product, Clean Armor, to our customers, because I'm sure many of you can well benefit from it. So I'm here now in the training center of Clean Armor down in Savannah, Georgia, with the founder and CEO of the company, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Matt Springer, sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, Matt, can you share a little bit of your story and tell us what this product really is all about? I wanted to say, so we spent now 2 days here with training, and so that I have appropriate knowledge to pass that on to our customers. We finished a few boards, and there's still more to come. But anyways, so
Well, thank you, Stefan, and thank you for joining us down here.
yeah,
Uh, we're here at the Clean Armor Certified School and Application Center in Savannah, Georgia. Clean Armor is an engineering and a design and manufacturing company that builds and creates high performance, low energy UV coatings for the different industries such as aerospace, marine, automotive, commercial wood, metal, and the like. Um, our system here is driven, and the base technology was driven by the need to improve the safety, the strength and performance, and the efficiencies of the common systems and coatings that we've all been plagued with and been forced to work with for many, many decades. Um, we have products that are for the processing manufacturing facilities, as well as in-field and DIY uses as well. So in-field applications as well as manufacturing purposes.
yeah. So this is what it looks like. These are the bottles. But anyways, here we have a few samples that we did. So this is actually, believe it or not, a piece of Purple Heart. Of course, I mean, that is not hard to believe, but beautifully finished by hand, no spray gun used, 10 minutes, and it was all done and cured. Now, how did we do that? I
Well,
mean, we have a detailed video actually showing that as well. If you scroll down later on the website, you'll find it. But basically, so how does Clean Armor work? What is the product? And
Clean Armor technology and coating systems are based on a polymer platform. Uh, they are converted from wet to dry only with a UVA frequency. They come with no catalysts, no reduction needed. They are zero VOCs, zero HAPs, no carcinogens, no neurotoxins. They're very clean. They surpass compliance regulatory uses that we've seen coming our way in the industry. So that's the cleaner, stronger side of the platform is being 100% solid polymer systems, which is quite unique in the coatings industry, rarely ever seen. And that gives us the ability to create finishes, whether they're water thin or as thick as molasses for construction and FRP industry uses for composite and lamination work and building. The 100% solid system allows you to have chemical resistance, impervious to the different types of stressors, UV protection, oxidation. The chemical resistance goes all the way down to acidic acids. We can employ solvents, any types of commercial grade cleaners directly over these finishes in any configuration immediately after curing. They are non-permeable, they're waterproof as well, and they're very easy to apply. And like I said earlier, we can either have in-field hand applications, which are traditional methods. We also have spray, and we have machine equipment coatings, where we have robotics and roll coaters and vacuum applications as well. This all fits in to the different uses and needs. This particular piece here, we're showing a very traditional open grain finish. You would find that in some common furniture finishes, whether they're privately owned or commercially used. And that system there was a thin seal coat that we hand applied with a disposable non-lint-free wiping towel. We were able to cure that in under 120 seconds on demand. And then we were able to take the top coat finish and apply it in the very same way. The materials like the self-level, the behavior and the personalities are extraordinary for a finisher. We all know the drawbacks and the shortcomings of trying to create a very uniformed look, a lot of hours, a lot of labor involved, where you have some extended dry and curing times. Again, these systems here at Clean Armor are cure on demand. We have them set at about 120 seconds with a certain wavelength of UVA curing equipment. Very affordable. They're purpose-built and designed. And you can even enjoy cure on demand in indirect and direct sunlight. We have a lot of UV, the safe UV at the high range towards visible light. So direct sunlight, indirect sunlight, even cloudy days will cast enough UVA to go ahead and convert us from liquid to dry. We are very low energy consumption, and we are curing in less than 1 watt of UVA. As a matter of fact, we're actually curing and measuring down in the milliwatts. So very, very convenient for in-house use. Like I said, DIY. Energy consumption, you lose the need for environmental control emissions equipment for management, accelerated curing with the burning of ovens and baking cycle times. So this really does check the boxes across being cleaner, stronger, and faster.
well, and what completely blew me away, I challenged Matt with this piece of oak that I prepared. So oak has a typical deep grain. You know, you have all your highs and lows and so on. And I wanted to see like a mirror-like finish on it. And we achieved that in, I don't know, it's hard to say, maybe 2 hours total work time?
Yes, about 2 hours.
About 2 hours, yeah. And to finish. And so with traditional products, this would be a process of a week or so, I guess, if you consider drying times of
Depending,
lacquers and
yes, I would say our normal commercial air dry or even our catalyzed conversion varnishes or accelerated cure commercial wood coatings would take you more than several days in the best of conditions,
yeah,
depending on
yeah,
humidities and environments that you're working with. But what you're seeing there is the ability to take a raw 320 sanded piece of oak and apply the sealer coats to it and apply the gloss coat, gloss finish. We did spray applications on this. I think we
yeah,
ran three fairly wet airbrushing coats, and we were able to block sand, flatten it, and polish it,
right,
fully cured within a couple of hours with that size of a piece.
yeah,
Normal processing times to create something like that that you would see on a Yamaha or a grand piano or some very high-end furniture pieces, such as some of the decorative furnitures we see in the
right,
corporate aircraft, would normally take with those finishes that are catalyzed with baking cycles somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe up to 28 days
yeah,
to get that mill thicknesses built
yeah.
and
And
cut and polished and ready for service.
so by this side is finished in the high gloss and then polished. The other side was actually simply sprayed with a matte. I mean, we did the same grain fill here, so it's all perfectly smooth. There's no highs and lows in the grain anymore. And it's just finished in a matte finish, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Now on this piece, as we already mentioned, it was just hand applied, two coats, wiped on in between, cured with the UV light, and just wiped it over, wiped it on again, cured it again, and done. And
And
it's beautiful.
we even attack that with acetone.
Yes, that was the surprising part, and it kind of reminded me of the same way as you apply wax coats and oil coats and stuff like that. But these all have the negative side. You put a glass of water on it and so on, and you get the ring buildup. And so I kind of asked Matt about it, and he said this is completely water resistant, not only water but also chemical resistant. He poured acetone on it, he poured pure alcohol on it, and it didn't impact the finish at all. We have another piece here. I prepared this. This is now end grain pieces of wood glued together as a whatever cutting board, serving board, and so on. And this is not even polished. This is just the high class clear coat, and it's not even much different than this, which is polished and so on and so forth. So it's out of the bottle. It's you can achieve a surface like this. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera. On the other side, again, we sprayed a matte coat, so it's not as glossy, but it also comes in satin. So satin, matte, and gloss, right?
Yes, we offer all the different ranges of sheen levels, from a gloss to a satin and a matte finish. But you can integrate. You buy gloss and you buy some matte. You can actually mix in percentages to create the certain sheen level that you're looking for.
Oh wow!
Now, meaning that it only takes less than 2 minutes to cure, you can actually verify your mixtures
Hmm.
and come up with your gloss and sheen levels to match your projects fairly readily and quickly. Um, Off the gun on that end board there, that was the challenge that Stefan brought me. End grain, as we all know, are very porous. It's kind of like trying
Yeah,
to fill a sponge, which is very hard to do. It'll run through the bottom. Um, the thing about low energy curable polymer systems is that we are in control. It's cure on demand. So that means that not only can we arrest and convert from wet to dry when we so choose, we also have the ability to watch and control the saturation of finishes. So if we've got some end grains that will just continue to take in finishes left and right, and almost impossible to fill and get a holdout platform, you can control the Clean Armor system very readily, easily by applying it and waiting 20, 30 seconds and watch it integrate at a certain depth level that you're looking for, and then arrest the polymer with the UV light. and that will create a certain saturation of your choosing, and now you have a holdout system to go ahead and top coat and get to your profile readily, easily. The materials being 100% solid and fully converted and cross-linked with the UV system allows you also to have through cure. And what I mean by that is 97% is measured by some instruments of complete cure. So these systems do not tear, ball, and roll. They're not gummy. They actually cut. So it's a powder sand uh, right off the light as soon as we're completely cured. So processing is truly, the efficiencies pick up grandly when we can actually not have to wait for sanding sealers and not have to wait for subcoats and platform coats to cure out. So we were able to go through some of the highs and lows in that end grain board pretty readily. We had some very deep and open pinholes and things of that nature.
I think we had here a total now of 5 coats, roughly.
About 5 coats, yes, sir.
To achieve this. And again, like processing time, including all the curing times or drying times, we would say in old terms right now,
Right.
we say curing times, maybe 1 hour, the most.
Sure,
to achieve,
piece like that.
this.
If yes, sir. If you were prepared with the equipment.
Yeah, and okay. Back to, as you already mentioned, no VOCs. So, and I can attest to that. Especially my wife can. She's here with us too, not on camera, but she's very sensitive to all the chemicals, and this stuff, you cannot really smell it out of the bottle. When you apply it to the wood by means of brushing or wiping, there's a little bit of a different story when you spray it with a spray gun. Of course, you are spraying the material into the air, right? And so you're dealing then with the raw materials. Out of my own experience, I kind of found as soon as you turn your UV lights on to cure the wood, you also cure the parts that are flying around in the air, and then they simply fall to the floor, and the air in the shop is within 5 to 10 minutes perfectly breathable again, and you don't notice anything. However, while you're spraying it, you still need to wear protective gear, right?
Correct.
So I did notice with even a face mask, my eyes were a little bit affected. I started tearing a little bit, but I just need a little bit better airflow in my shop, but I'm taking care of that. However, yeah, it's, as I said, it just really blew me out of my chair. And
well, thank you.
so it's absolutely amazing. And
I'd like to offer one more efficiency here. Since we are dealing with 100% solid system, and when I say that, I can reference back to some examples of what isn't 100% solid. If we take a look at all traditional commercial coatings, whether they be air dry lacquers from the old days and shellacs, all the way up to our urethanes and polyurethanes and enamels, even acrylic systems as well, the current modern versions where they're catalyzed, they all are fairly low in their solids content, and they carry mostly solvents that are pretty destructive and hazardous for human contact, as we're all probably familiar with. So we have a coverage here for square footage. We actually consider this to be a concentrate coating system, meaning that one dry mill of a clean armor coating or finished system extrapolates out to about 1,600 square feet, and that is a U.S. gallon amount. So we're covering 1,600 square feet in 1 gallon, 400 square feet in your packaged quarts. A little goes a long way, meaning that you'll find that very little amounts need to be expressed to create the types of depths and finish specs that you're requiring and looking for. So that was another really good time saver and also money saver and cost effectiveness. And we're not working with catalyzed materials. We're not working with wash solvents and the types of hazardous materials that are brought to the table as ancillary products to clean tools with, thin things, materials and coatings down with. There is no hazard shipping on this particular material. It's qualified for zero hazard ship. And if you follow your local regulatory guidelines for disposal, any unused materials here are legally cured out in direct sunlight on cardboard and disposed of in
Or
the
with the
normal
UV
bins,
light. Yeah.
or with a UV light as well.
Yeah. And then you can just simply dump it in the garbage. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another thing I just wanted to mention is, like, as you just pointed out on this one, we sent it a raw naked wood down to 320 grit. Now, on my search for another finish other than the polyurethane, I first stumbled along a couple of so-called hard wax finishes that are also UV cured. That was my first introduction to UV cured finishes, and I thought that was quite neat, and I tested those out. But the end result didn't really satisfy me because you have to wipe it into the wood and then wipe it off again and wipe it off until your rack doesn't pick up anything anymore. So leaving only really what has soaked into the wood. And so the wood is still somewhat exposed and still soft. I go across with my fingernails and I leave scratches. Here I can do whatever I want with my fingernails. Nothing happens, right? The other thing I noticed there was it recommended to sand no more than 120 grit, and that was below all of my personal standards, because I would go with at least up to 180 grit fine sanding before I finish any piece of wood. Depending on the species, even up to 240. Now you mentioned we had here sanded up to 320. So what are the limitations here?
There really isn't any limitations. When you move away from waxes and petroleum oils and synthetics that are commonly mixed and blended together to create the common products that we see out in the market, those actually, again, have so many different types of solvents in them that they really don't, they're not lingering by any means. They evaporate out. So what you're providing into the cellulose of the wood is a lot of solvents mixed with very little solid content. So you're really not finishing a whole lot or leaving behind a protective film. This material being 100% solid polymer system, it can integrate and saturate very, very nicely and readily into the celluloses. So you are leaving a solid, concentrated finish system behind. So we can go ahead and do that earlier. The scratch and scratch resistance and impact resistance is designed and built into this system. It's pretty impressive. I believe it to be superior to most all coating systems that I have ever experienced and run into. We have numbers here for impact and scratch resistance that are well above industry standards. We're talking probably this piece here, if you were to measure this, probably has around 180,000 PSI tensile strength.
Wow.
On the surface.
Yeah, and on that subject as well, as I was on my search for an alternative, and as I mentioned, I found these hard wax oils that are also UV curable. But as I mentioned, the surface that didn't really satisfy me for resistance to scratches and even stains based on any liquids that you put on it, let's say a table that you might finish. So I did a little bit more research there and found out that there's even a new product, a fairly new product on the market that's being offered, and these are the so-called ceramic coatings that you can put on top of it to protect those hard wax finishes and so on. But these come in little tiny bottles and sell well over $100. So it's brutally expensive in the end. And I was just about to pull the trigger on it because I didn't feel like I have another choice. I was just about to order it to test that out when I stumbled along Clean Armor. And here I found really the answer to all of my problems in one single product. And it's just more than amazing. So we're looking so much forward to working together with Clean Armor and offer these products to our customers. And as I mentioned, I've spent here now 2 full days with Matt and also John. He's not here right now, but I got here a quite intensive training and feel like very confident in helping out our customers, answering their questions on the product, guiding them to what they might need, and um, rest assured, whenever I cannot find an answer right away because I don't know it, then we still have Matt. He's a phone call away from me, where we can always get help. So yeah, so looking really forward to a long-lasting relationship,
We are too.
and
We're so grateful that you came down and you took interest, and we're honored that you're taking a look at this
yeah,
system. This coating system across different industries was built for the finishers
yeah.
in our world today, and it checks a lot of the boxes off of all the common failures and drawbacks that
Well,
we
maybe you
experience.
can give me another minute, what you already told me off camera, but brought you into this. You were a finisher yourself.
I am. My background is cosmetic restoration.
Okay.
For many, many years on hard surface decor items, from
Yeah.
aircraft interiors to marine interiors and exteriors to bathware, antique furnishings, all the different types of quality, expensive interior and exterior surfaces that we rely upon and we like to maintain.
Yeah.
And so I experienced a lot of the different industries, makeups, and chemicals that were being used to employ and manufacture those products. And they're quite hazardous out of a controlled environment.
Yeah. So it's a different story when you're applying your whatever
Very much so.
materials in a controlled environment,
Correct.
like a shop with
Like
a
a
spray
shop.
booth with
So
proper ventilation and everything. Yeah.
started thinking about the different ways and the different technologies that might exist out
Yeah.
in the future that we could actually obtain the quality, the aesthetics, the performance from manufactured goods, and have the ability to take it in field to employ them to match those characteristics and performance characteristics there. So it's taken a lot of years to do, but we now have.
When did you start investigating all this?
I
Or,
started back in 1994 actually with this idea.
so
Uh,
that is 30 years now.
that was about 30 years, and I watched some different technologies very closely, and we finally got to a point where I could marry some different existing systems that were out there. But really, what you're looking at here is a ground-up development
Yeah.
of polymer structures
Okay.
that we were able to modify and receive U.S. patents on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you have your patents on the product.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah, clean
that means
armor chemistry and technology has
it
been patented.
obviously is completely different than anything else that's out there. Otherwise, you
It
wouldn't
is.
get your patent, right?
And it's quite different.
Yeah.
It's borrowed some common knowledge
Yeah.
of polymer and synthetics and plastics
Yeah.
and coatings and knowledge that we've always had. But yes, this is a standalone system. It's unique in the world, and it's being considered to be a direct replacement for those systems that are slowly but surely being eliminated
Yeah.
through compliance and regulatory issues
Yeah.
for human contact in the environment.
Yeah.
So this is the future.
Well, and the future starts now. The future of wood finishing starts now. That's what I was going to say. Okay.
Thank you.
I think that covers it so far. We have, as I said, finished a bunch of pieces, and we have step-by-step videos about that we're going to share on our website there as well. Yeah. So thank you very much, Matt. And
Thank you, Stefan. Appreciate it.
yeah.